Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, April the 26th, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gents.
Hello.
How is you this evening?
Well, I'm as excited as ever.
Yeah, I can tell. It's like oozing out of everybody tonight.
Yeah.
Sort of a draft or something is going
on. The draft. Tomorrow night is the draft. This is our 2023 NFL Draft Show. 2023 NFL Draft Show. So welcome to the show. We do it once a year. This is our third one.
One of these years we're going to get it right.
One of these years we'll get it right. I came close last year. I had everybody. I had all 10 players that went in the first 10 picks. I just didn't have any of them in the right order, except for the first one. That was obvious.
Yeah.
But most of us had a lot. But both of you had a lot of them too. We did. I mean, it was kind of a given for a lot of the picks. So we'll see if we can at least keep that up this year. We'll see.
Well, I mean, for I don't want to speak for everyone here, but for me, it's just like, who does this, quote unquote, professionally? Who do I trust the most?
Right.
It's not like
none of them get it. None of them get it right.
No, but I'm saying it's not like I'm breaking down the team needs and looking at the positions and looking at film and figuring out where. I'm just kind of looking at, what does this guy say? What does this guy say? What does that guy say? Who do I think is right? And then I sort of go with, sort of take this amalgamation of their different picks. So, there's no. I can only be as right as any of the professionals.
Right.
So I just, let them break down the tape and do all that. And
yeah, it's sort of like, it's almost like, let's just react to the idiocy of what people pick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I stopped watching the draft because when the Giants picked Daniel Jones in the first round, I had a heart attack, and I can't watch it anymore. So,
well, there's no real reason to watch it.
No,
I mean, you can find out instantly who gets picked.
Right. If you have the NFL app, you can just ask for notifications.
When I say watch, I mean
pick,
follow. Yeah.
Every single time there's a pick, boom, it comes up on your phone. So you don't literally even have to sit. And watch.
You can kind of put it on with the sound off and
that too. Yeah.
Do something else, and then your phone goes ding ding. There was a trade, or ding ding. So and so picked.
Well, I won't be watching it. I'll catch the end of it tomorrow because I got tomorrow's my last night of my bowling league for the year.
How exciting!
Yes. I get my Thursdays back.
What time does the bowling league start?
Starts at 7, so we're usually done around 9:30.
How does the draft start?
8. So they'll be halfway through it by the time I finish. So I'll get home. I'll watch the end of it. I'll probably see I'm sure I'll see the Giants pick. I might see the Jets pick, but I doubt it. But it'll probably be on in the bowling alley, but I won't really care.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a good way to watch the draft while you're bowling or doing something else.
Right. Exactly.
So what would you guys say? Which event has more useless talk prior to it actually starting?
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl or the draft?
My answer to that is yes.
Which one has more useless talk?
Probably the draft, because the Super Bowl, at least there's occasionally some interesting pieces, like maybe like some trivia or Super Bowl history, or they bring a guy in to talk about when he was MVP, or crap like that. So at least that's somewhat to a point captivating a little bit. It's not all inane nonsense, right? But the draft is it's like Mel Kiper for 5 hours before.
Yeah, it's just hour after hour of speculation.
Right.
But by the way, Mel Kiper does 97 versions of his mock draft. He never gets anything right.
He has every possible scenario covered, and he's still wrong.
And why is he the expert still? I just don't get it. He's
the first one that did it.
He's worse than a weather reporter.
He's the first one that did it.
Yeah, and he's probably the only guy who's like willing to humiliate himself like that again and again and again and again.
Exactly. And
I mean, someone will take over that gig, I assume, when he is done with it, or maybe they won't. I don't know.
Who was it?
Booker McFarland was on today talking about the draft for 3 seconds, and then it devolved into why, when he was picked number 15th overall, everyone else made a mistake with that by not picking him before then.
He should have gone number 1, is what he was saying.
Yes.
Right, of course.
This is
our number 1 pick of the draft, Booger.
These ex-athletes who none of them are ever really great, with the exception of the guys that are on NBA Tonight on TNT. But if they're on ESPN or anything like this, they're people who you wouldn't really even remember had they, if they weren't on your face spewing bullshit all day long. And I think they're just there to anger people.
Actually,
they're just there to anger people.
Along those lines, I just saw an interesting little Facebook reel about, it was a Kendrick Perkins highlight.
I've never wanted to beat somebody with a baseball bat ever in my life, other than Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah, it was.
He's such an asshole and unknowledgeable. Yeah, he guaranteed the Clippers were going to win the series. Yeah.
He did.
He didn't mean this series.
Yes, true. He didn't.
He meant at some point in the future,
right?
They're going to win a series. Yeah.
Right,
potentially.
So.
Yeah. So this whole show's draft. Is that what we're talking about? Are we allowed to talk about anything else or not?
Well, we could talk. We'll briefly talk about the playoffs.
Well, let's go into the draft.
Playoffs going on, so I think we should hit the draft. Let's hit it hard. Let's go for it.
Go for it.
All right. So let's take a quick look. This was the format last year. Here's Pete's picks from last year. Take a quick look at them. He had Sauce Gardner going to the Jets, which he did. So there you go. That was good. And a few others. He had Drake London going to the Jets. Good thing that didn't happen, because at that pick, the Jets got Garrett Wilson, and he was the offensive rookie of the year. So probably a good
Right, listen, I had the Jets and the Giants right, although I think
you had the Giants. Giants picked Kayvon Thibodeau at number 5, not number 7, but you had it right. And they took Evan Neal at number 7. But cool. Yeah. And this was
good draft for the Jets and the Giants.
Good draft for the Jets and the Giants last year. Absolutely. Here was Harry's picks last year. He had Aiden Hutchinson going to the Jets. That would have been good. That would have been good for the Jets. And you had Sauce Gardner going to the Giants. That would have been good for the Giants.
I was hopeful.
I think Kayvon Thibodeau is probably a good pick for them. I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But overall decent, and here were mine.
So these were the first 10 guys.
These were the first 10 guys, just not in the right order.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, the only one, and I had Thibodeau going to the Jets. I had the Giants getting Stingley and Aquonu. So yeah,
you had London going to the.
London going to the Jets as well.
So. Yeah.
And how many of these people did we hear about during the year, other than Sauce Gardner?
Sauce Gardner, Thibodeau.
Thibodeau towards the beginning of the year, and then he drifted off into no man's.
Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's a NFL Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Aiden Hutchinson, we heard a lot about. That one I had right, obviously with Detroit. But yeah, so that was last year's draft. So let's kick it off to this year. What do you say?
All right.
Let's start it with which one of you wants to go first? You two go
I'm
first.
definitely not going first, because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
RadioPete.
I'm going to preface all of this by saying I don't know a damn thing about any of this.
Let's kick it off with you, RadioPete. We'll put yours up there. These are RadioPete's draft picks, first 10 draft picks for the 2023 draft, starting obviously tomorrow night. Tell us about your picks. They're up on the screen.
All right. Well, if these
anybody
are not
wants to, we'll post these on Facebook. Anybody that's listening to this on rebroadcast on the audio, obviously, podcast, you can just go to the Facebook page. You can see these posts. So go for it, Pete.
So if these are way off, then you can blame Charles Davis.
Okay.
My old schoolmate from way back in the day. These are largely his picks. I made a few changes, maybe, or they might. I don't know. They might exactly. I think it's the same group of people. So, all right. Panthers are taking Bryce Young. Listen, all this talk about Will Levis and who's going to move up and who's going to move down, and what's his name? Who's the guy? The guy the quarterback who blew everybody away at the draft, but only
Florida
50%. Yeah, whatever his name is. I don't think he's going in the top 10 or
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, Richardson. Yeah. I mean, he's a project. So,
well, I think Will Levis is a little bit more of a project than Anthony Richardson, but I agree with you. They're both projects, but I think Will Levis is a little bit more of a project. So.
Well, listen, Richardson's got more upside, but listen, Houston is
old enough to pick a running back in your top 10.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the steal. Maybe the first round for the Eagles. I think
there has been chatter about Bijan Robinson going to the Eagles. The Eagles picking him because they got Miles Sanders, and I have a huge obviously, and their other main running back is Hurts. So
right,
and Reese Witherspoon going to the Lions.
Reese Witherspoon going to the Lions. Yeah.
Nell Carter going to the Seahawks.
Nell Carter.
She was a good defensive tackle in her
She was in her day. She was.
Yeah.
She played. She started for Georgia back then.
That's right. She did.
The original Rambling Wreck.
Yeah. So that's it. I think. Cardinals, I think they want to, obviously get some help on the offensive line. We see Carter going 5 to the Seahawks. I think the Colts, they need a quarterback, and I think Stroud is going to be there. And
you think Stroud is going to drop? Obviously, the Cardinals aren't taking a quarterback, so you think the Texans are going to sit pat where they are and take an edge?
I think the Texans are going to look at maybe Richardson or maybe Will Levis. I think they have the 12th or 13th pick. And I think that's
one of them dropping there. I got you.
I think that's where they're going to look for a quarterback.
And they don't want to pass up Will Anderson, right then. So, boom, they take him. So,
by the way, we were talking about what is an edge rusher. So the official definition is just whoever's on the outside of the defensive line.
So whether it's an outside linebacker or a defensive end, whoever lines up out there is the edge rusher for that.
Right. So if it's a 4-3, then it's most likely going to be a defensive end. Although if a linebacker runs up on the line, then, they would be considered the edge rusher. So if it's a 3-4, then it's more likely to be a linebacker. So, like I said, Carter will go to the Seahawks. Detroit Lions, they want to shore up their defense. Aaron Rodgers is gone. They want to keep building, and they're pretty solid. They can score some points. Vegas, Tyree Wilson. They're going to take a chance. I think he's had some injury issues, but they're going to take a chance on him. That's a pretty good chance. Gonzalez, don't really know anything about.
Right.
Chicago Bears, they obviously got to shore up their line. I mean, everybody needs to shore up their line.
Everybody.
And then 10th pick, Eagles will get, is it Beyond?
Beyond, I believe it's Beyond. I've heard Bijan. I've heard Beyond.
Well,
I'm going with Beyond. So.
Bed Bath and Beyond Robinson.
Dijon Beyond Robinson.
Bed Bath and
Beyond,
yeah.
Bed Bath and
Beyond. There you go. I like that. Bed Bath and Beyond.
So I think he'll
send that into Chris Berman.
Yeah. And, so I think the Eagles will take him 10, and that'll be one of the best, if not the best pick of the first round.
There you go. All right.
For 2 years, the lifespan of a running back.
Yeah, two or 3 years.
Hey, you got to play for right now. There's no building in sports anymore. It's right now. It's a crappy song by Van Halen and the truth of all sports.
This is very true. Very true. All right. Let's move on to Harry's. Let's switch it up. Here are Harry's picks.
Well, I also think Bryce Young is going to be the first pick. Although I think this is probably one of those years where the overall pick, I think it could be Young or Stroud. I really do. And I'm not sure Carolina's set on either one of them. But I don't see Houston passing up a quarterback. I see the Cardinals taking Will Anderson. And I think the Colts are going to take a chance on Anthony Richardson. That you could probably maybe substitute Will Levis in there, but I think Richardson's got more upside, and I think that his athleticism is pretty spectacular. And they need a quarterback. And now, obviously, if Stroud is available, then I think maybe they'll take him. But I think the Colts are taking a quarterback. I think that puts Jalen Carter going to the Seahawks. I got the Lions going with Tyree Wilson and edge. I think all Carter, Wilson, Witherspoon, Gonzalez, I think they're all a little bit interchangeable depending on what happens ahead of them. But I think Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez are going to be two of the best cornerbacks that are ready to come out and play in the NFL right away. I got the Bears also taking an offensive lineman, but I got them taking Skoronski from Northwestern. And then I got the Eagles taking Nolan Smith, but I almost put Bed Bath and Beyond at this spot too. So we'll see what happens. I think they might be able to get him further down. So
a lot of people had. I mean, most mock drafts I've looked at have Bed Bath and Beyond going. Love that. Going in the first round, regardless.
Yeah.
Some higher, some lower. None of them in the top 10. I take that back. One or two of them had the Eagles taking him, but those are the.
Well, you got RadioPete taking him, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So that's three. There you go. That's three. There you go.
And I wouldn't be surprised, and if I did some more research, I might have. I might be convinced otherwise to put him there, but yeah, I think the Eagles are in good shape. At a lot of they don't have a lot of deep needs. They do need a running back though. And even if he's not ready right out of the gate, I think, but of course, it seems like other than quarterbacks, anybody who could rush the passer or knock passes away from receivers are prized possessions. Yeah. I don't see as many offensive linemen going in the top 10 or even top 15 this year as we have seen in years past.
A couple here and there. It's edge rushers, cornerbacks, and quarterbacks. It's is what it is. All right.
No wide receiver, no running back. Jeez, what's the world coming to?
Right. They're getting smarter, is what they're doing.
Right.
All right. Let's switch it over to mine. These are my picks for this year. All right. As you know, I think we're all in 100% agreement that Bryce Young's going to Carolina Panthers. I don't think that they're gonna look to take CJ Stroud. While not a bad pick, he's still an Ohio State quarterback, and again, that doesn't make him a bad choice. But Alabama seems to have a better track record of having, lengthier career quarterbacks in the NFL than Ohio.
Right.
Well, they said the same thing about a certain quarterback for the Chicago Bears who has developed into a pretty decent quarterback.
But everybody's got their knocks, right? Like Young, well, he had three wide receivers that are going to the NFL.
Sure, of course.
Richardson is raw. Stroud is too small.
Right.
Levis is raw. So, but I don't.
Bottom line, read between the lines with all of those comments. They're all college quarterbacks. They're not NFL quarterbacks yet. So,
right.
So they got to get to the NFL to become NFL quarterbacks. So,
and Bryce Young, he's going to the NFL, so assumedly he would be throwing to NFL receivers.
Right.
So I don't, I don't see how that. Yes, the game is faster and everybody's bigger and all that, but I don't see that as that much of a. Well, he had great players all around him. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have to be. Well, he still had to throw him the ball,
right?
And he might have less talent on Carolina than he did on Alabama.
He made very true, actually.
Oh, I think at least at first, yeah.
All right, so I got Bryce Young going to Carolina. I got the Houston Texans not passing up a quarterback with that number 2 spot. They can't do it. I understand what you're saying about Will Anderson, but I don't see them passing. They need a quarterback. And this is a quarterback-rich to a point draft. And I see them taking it, but I also see them shying away from Ohio State. I think they're going to pick Anthony Richardson with their second pick. That being said, Tennessee's pouncing on trading up and giving some picks, giving the next year's first and trading this year's firsts and giving next year's first and maybe a second from this year or third from this year, whatever, to Arizona, who only drops down to what is it, 11th or 12th, or where is Arizona?
Tennessee,
11th. So they're only dropping down. I mean, what they need, they can get at 11. So they'll wind up with an extra first round next year. They'll end up with a second and every extra second or third this year, whatever. Tennessee's going to pounce on Arizona's pick, and they're going to grab C.J. Stroud.
Why do you say that?
Because they need a quarterback. What are they going to do? Are they how much longer are they going to? They still haven't re-signed, I don't think anyway, unless it's happened recently, and I just didn't see it. They still haven't re-signed Tannehill.
What do you think they will though?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, if they don't get if this doesn't happen and they don't get a quarterback, then I think they don't have a choice but to sign him to
you're right.
1 or 2 year deal. But if they can get CJ, if Bryce Young goes to Carolina and Anthony Richardson goes to Houston, they're going to pounce on this trade, move up in the draft, and grab CJ Stroud. Yeah,
I think you're smart with. I think you're smart with this move. The only thing I would say is I might see that flipped. I might see Houston take CJ Stroud and Tennessee take Anthony Richardson.
6-1. I just think that's the way it's going to pan out. I just got a feeling, but the other thing is that leaves the Colts kicking walls and punching windows because all three of the better quarterbacks are gone at the three spots before they pick. So they don't have a choice but to take Will Levis because they have to take a quarterback. They're not going into the season with Gardner Minshew and only Gardner Minshew.
Well, the Colts have been pretty good at drafting quarterbacks in the past.
Yeah. Of course.
They've been terrible at signing veterans, though.
That's true. Well, they've been good at signing veterans. It's just that those veterans only stay for one season.
Yeah,
their legs are
You've
broken.
done a bang-up job of signing veteran quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're great at signing veterans. Just they're lousy at signing good veterans who can play more than 1 year.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yes, true. I mean, the Carson Wentz was bad, but I mean, what's his name from the Chargers had a good year there, but didn't last very long. 1 year, one and done.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I do agree. I think Houston and Indianapolis go for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I totally agree. So it's 4 quarterbacks off the board, top 4 picks, done. That brings us to number 5 pick. Seattle Seahawks are picking, and the three of us are all in agreement with this one as well. Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. They're going to grab Jalen Carter. Detroit Lions. This is where Will Anderson drops to. Will Anderson drops all the way down to 6 to the Detroit Lions, edge rusher. And, with Aiden Hutchinson and Will Anderson and no more Aaron Rodgers in the NFC North, look out for Detroit.
Well, especially on the defensive side. They almost become the Jets of the NFC, what the Jets were last year.
Right, exactly. Moving on with that, 7th pick, the Raiders, Reese Witherspoon. Now Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. The Falcons are taking Tyree Wilson, and it wouldn't shock me if Tyree Wilson drops all the way down to 25th, and the Giants take him because the Giants have had David Tyree and the Giants have had David Wilson, and there's nobody named David, so they got Tyree Wilson. So I thought that was funny. Never mind.
As long as he changes his nickname to Flip, then they'll be fine.
Flip, there you go. Right. But no, I got the Falcons taking Tyree Wilson. Edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Chicago Bears are taking Lucas Van Ness. Not a lot of people are talking about him. Some are, but he's a decent edge rusher. He's one of the better ones. A lot of people have him going in the first round. Some have him dropped.
He'll be top 15 for sure.
But I think I think the Bears are gonna grab him. And then I have Philly going with a cornerback, shoring up the cornerback opposite Bradbury. And going with Christian Gonzalez. I can't see them taking a running back in the first 10 spots. I know it's possible, and I know it would be a steal because Bijan Robinson is a really good running back, but he's a running back. How many years are they getting out of a running back? They have Hurts. They have, you can grab a running back. You can pick up a running back. You can make some moves. There are there are running backs out there. How much better are they going to be with one running back and not a lockdown corner? I think it's a better move for them, and I think that's what they're going to do. So anyway, that's mine. That's my top 10.
Right. Yeah, that's all solid logic.
Mm-hmm.
I just with that offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
and a quarterback that you don't want to run as much as certainly he is capable of running. And again, Philly is they're pretty solid in other places. Yeah, they need a quarterback, but I think you get the quarterback later, you got a chance to bring in a real top-notch running back who catches passes. The guy does everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can line up in the slot. So big behind that offensive line. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with what you're saying. Yeah, why would you take a running back?
I mean, like what team in the right mind would use like a number 2 overall pick to take a running back? I mean, that's just stupid. I mean,
it happens. They're giddy with success, perhaps. Who knows?
Yep, this is very true.
It was the pick the following year that made that pick seem just wonderful.
Yeah, that's true.
And now we're stuck with both.
But if you redraft, the Giants could have very easily had what's his name, Josh Allen, but we won't say that. So anyway, okay, moving on. Those are our topics. Now let's shift gears. I don't have any graphics for this, but let's do our local picks. As you know, not to bump out of draft picks and mock drafts and so forth and such, but for a moment, but it's finally official. The Jets have landed Aaron Rodgers. Aaron is now a Jet, and we're number 8 too. He's not taking number 12. He's not gonna.
Well, he's not dumb.
He's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, Namath said he was going to give it to him. He was going to allow him to.
Of course, Namath said that, but how drunk was he?
Yeah, but listen, Rodgers doesn't want to be hated any more than he is before he even
steps on the field, right?
By taking Joe Willie's number, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Well, he's wearing his what he wore in college.
He wore number 8 when he went into the darkness. So
he did
there, and he was in the cave for 8 days. So.
In a cave, gotta love it. But anyway, so all right, so they got to where are the Jets going to go with their pick? Now they obviously switched from they swapped picks. They were 13, and the Packers were 15. They swapped first round picks with the Packers in this trade, so they're picking 15th. Pete, you're the resident Jet fan. Tell us what they're picking, who they're picking, who are they picking?
Well, I've got Harry had him on his top 10 board, the offensive tackle, Pete Skoronski. Jets got to shore up their offensive line. They got Oliveira coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy, see if he can stay healthy for more than 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But you can never have too much depth, and you got to keep the old man healthy, or else this trade is going to be a bust. And he's 39 years old, so is Aaron Rodgers.
I thought you were saying Pete Skoronski is 39 years old.
No.
He went to college late.
Yeah.
He had another year.
That would be great.
He was a walk-on freshman at 34.
He's really good. Yeah.
So
he's come into his prime late.
So they got to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, and they can add some depth to the offensive line.
Right. There you go. All right. Fair enough. Harry, who do you have them taking there?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if Skoronski's there, I had him as my top offensive lineman. I think Pete's right. I got Osiris Torrance from the University of Florida going there. I mean, whatever happens, I'd be very surprised if the Jets don't go with an offensive lineman. Having said that, I could see them also trading their pick for a couple other lower picks.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Because I think they'd rather have, 2 B- that can turn into B+ or A's than one, potential A. So, but I think whatever it is, it's gonna be loading up that offensive line and making sure they're at least 1.5 deep at each position. That's why I like Osiris, because I think he's a little bit more flexible for a couple different positions. But we'll see.
Gotcha. All right. And I'll throw that in there. I think they're going to go offensive tackle, but I think they're going Paris Johnson Jr. actually out of Ohio. Seems to be and I think I picked him because I'm pretty sure Skoronsky's going to go 11, 12, 13, 14 somewhere in there. Actually, I think. I think I had Arizona taking him with the pick when they swap picks with Tennessee and they're picking 11th. Obviously, as you had said, Pete, they want to shore up the line in front of Tiny, and I've
got Arizona taking him at 3. So
right, you got Arizona taking Paris Johnson at 3. Swapping those, but so we're both in agreement that Arizona and the Jets are taking Skoronsky and Paris Johnson. Just in which order?
In which order?
In which order they're taking it? Right. Cool. All right. All right, and let's throw a Giants pick in there. Harry, you start this one. What do you think where do you think the Giants are going?
I think the Giants are going to go defense. Everybody's saying wide receiver Zay Flowers has been thrown around a lot out there if he's still around.
Please, nobody name Flowers drafted by the Giants, please.
Yeah. I think it's going to be DJ Turner, cornerback from Michigan. Okay. And if any of the other previously mentioned quarterbacks are dumb, people are dumb enough to leave them where at that point which I don't think will happen. I think the Giants could potentially do that, but I think they're going cornerback, and it's kind of a cornerback rich draft. There's a lot of decent options and supposedly guys who are ready to come in and play right away, which is what the Giants need. So they don't seem all that committed to drafting a wide receiver. It seems like they're pretty content with signing veteran receivers, and they've done a pretty good job of that. I mean, we'll see how it turns out. We've said that in years past. And I don't really think there's any wonderful receiver that's going to be available when the Giants pick. So that's my thoughts.
All right. RadioPete, who are the Giants pick?
I think they're going wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Want to get Daniel Jones some more weapons. They're going to try it again. And they're going to go with Quentin Johnson from TCU.
Fair enough.
And I just picked him because I think he'll be around.
That'll work. I personally agree with Harry. I think they're going corner. They have to go corner. They need a defensive back big time. They need a defensive back more than they need a wide receiver. They have, granted, Quentin Johnson would be, I don't want to say an upgrade, but at least a minor upgrade or adding good depth to the receiving core by all means. But there are other hands out that they can get. They have 10 picks in this draft. All total, they have 10 picks. So they can pick up a wide receiver or 2 if need be, if that's what they want to do. But that being said, I think they definitely need a cornerback more than they need a wide receiver. And I think they're going Emmanuel Forbes, actually, out of Mississippi, is who I think they're going to take. So, Emmanuel Forbes would be my pick. Anyway, there you go. And we said we don't want to, Harry said at least he doesn't want to pick where Denver's going with this.
Who cares? Fuck the Broncos. You heard it, Denver.
There you go. If there's anybody out there listening that wants to weigh in with what your team is going to pick, by all means, shout it on out. Let us know. We'll take it under advisement, so to speak. But that's where we think. So we'll throw these up one more time.
If I had to make a guess, I think the Broncos will pick an offensive lineman.
You think the Broncos will pick an offensive lineman? Yeah, I think they definitely need to do that for Russell Wilson, because he did not have a good season last year. That's for certain. And then, granted, there's a lot of reasons for it, but certainly, time in the pocket.
I also think they want to run the ball more.
Gotcha. All right, we got Dave Scardino has written in saying the Cowboys are taking a running back. Okay.
Wonder why.
Why would they be doing that? One tends to figure Pete, weigh in on that. You're a resident pseudo Cowboy fan. Your mic's muted.
Man, I'm a Cowboys fan.
There you go. Your mic's muted because you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, why not? They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And David said Robinson from Texas, if available, or Gibbs from Bama. There you go.
I would say either one of those guys will help them get to the playoffs and then lose.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Gotcha. I saw a couple mock drafts actually that say the Cowboys are taking Dalton Kincaid from Utah. He's a tight end.
Dalton Kincaid, wasn't he the manager of the Partridge
He
Family?
was. He was. His uncle was. His uncle.
His uncle was. He's the
His
dude.
uncle. His uncle Reuben. Yeah.
He's the manager in the remake.
I think he was the sheriff of Tombstone before Wyatt
That's
Earp,
right.
wasn't he? Dalton
Why?
Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid. I think he was. Which we call why I'm saying why tight end maybe you're referring to, Dave. No, I don't know why they're picking. I think they would pick a running back. I mean, they're picking the 26th pick. They're picking after the Giants. Giants pick 25. Dallas picks 26. So I would believe that they would take a running back. Obviously, letting Zeke go. They got Tony Pollard, but he's going to be coming off an injury. So I think running back makes sense for them to go running back picking 26th. But I've seen a number. I've seen probably 3 or 4 drafts. I looked at a bunch over the last week. And I've seen a lot of them actually keying on a tight end, Dalton Kincaid from Utah. It's odd, but hey, I don't know.
I think the Cowboys' biggest success in the last 20 years or plus has been their ability to draft offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to take Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
Darnell Wright out of Tennessee?
That's what I think.
They're going to take Darnell right out of Tennessee.
Right out of Tennessee.
Right out of Tennessee.
Can't take the Darnell right out of Tennessee.
Exactly.
You can take the Darnell out of Tennessee, but you can't make it right.
Okay.
But what do we know? What does anybody know? I don't know.
What does anybody know? I don't even think. Well, like every team doesn't know. They have their draft boards, right? They have their picks. They have what they want, their wish list, if you will. And as things move, it's all fluid, right? It's not just if one of those players comes off the board, it's what type of players coming off the board too, right? They might, there might be a ton of edge rushers come off and they do want one and they figure they grab one in the second round, but all of a sudden they're beyond the second round of their wish list of edge rushers. So, okay, shit, I better grab one now because now I'm going to be into the 5th round by the time I'm picking in the second round for an edge rusher. So,
what the Cowboys should draft? An owner.
What? Yeah.
They could.
David Scardino, let us know how you feel about that one. That would probably be probably smart. Although I don't think the ownership's going anywhere beyond the Jones family, but who knows? But yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks for tuning into the. Oh no.
Are we done?
I think we are. No, that's the draft. So, yeah, that is the draft. Just looking at something here. Okay, fine. If anybody has anything, tight end is a good call, according to Dave. Let's throw that out there. He said tight end is a good call.
There's a bunch of good tight ends
in
this year's draft.
Mm-hmm. So,
give Dak another.
I think Dallas definitely going offense. So, but they have the magic touch when it comes to offensive linemen. They seem to be able to.
That's true.
I don't know. But we'll know in a couple days.
I mean, they're one of the best teams at it, right? I mean, they've been for very, very many, many years. So
yeah,
and it's
you don't need a really good running back if you have a great offensive line.
Exactly. Dave said, just don't draft Brian Leaf. There you go. So
right.
That would not be right.
I don't think he's draftable anymore.
Well, he might be.
39-year-old Pete Skoronski is the oldest available.
He's the oldest available guy.
He's one day older than Aaron Rodgers.
Although Ryan Leaf is Ryan Leaf 39 yet? I don't know.
Ryan Leaf.
I'm guessing so.
I don't know. Let's Jimmy, get on that. Ryan Leaf. Let's see.
What is Ryan Leaf doing these days? Is he selling mushrooms with Jake Plummer?
Ryan Leaf is 46 years old.
Okay, there you go.
He will be 47 in a couple of weeks.
Oh, happy birthday, Ryan Leaf.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. I
And
mean, nothing else happened in football, right? This week.
No, I don't. I mean, other than the fact that Aaron is now a Jet. How do you feel?
About.
How do you feel about that, Radio Pete?
I think I posted something on the.
He's optimistically pessimistic.
Optimistically pessimistic.
Yeah, he'll get hurt week 6 or 7 and be out for the rest of the season, and then he'll retire.
All right, so here was the trade. This is what came down to. They waited weeks and weeks and weeks, and finally they decided they swapped first-round picks. So the Jets got the 15th overall pick from Green Bay, and Green Bay got the 13th overall pick from the Jets. The Jets got a 5th-round pick this year back from Green Bay. Green Bay got a 2nd round from the Jets and a 6th round from the Jets this year. The 2nd round they got from the Jets is not their only 2nd-round pick because, if you remember, the Jets had back-to-back 2nd-round picks because they got when they got an extra 2nd rounder when they traded Elijah Moore. So so they had one to give, so that was good. And they swapped 5th and 6th round picks if you look at it like that. But they also got next year's conditional 2nd round pick in next year's draft. That 2nd round pick in next year's draft that's conditional becomes a 1st rounder if Aaron Rodgers plays more than 65% of the snaps this year. And then
so they got a 1st round pick. You're hoping,
right? So I mean, you got to figure that if Aaron Rodgers is playing more than 65% of the snaps this year,
how do they?
The Jets are winning. Just saying, the Jets are winning enough games to have that pick be in the 20s. So it's not like it's a top 10 pick.
Well, is it total snaps in the game?
However they do it, I guess it's.
Well, maybe the Jets found a loophole. Maybe they didn't specify offensive snaps for the Jets. Maybe it's
total snaps, right? So and it's a 50-50, and they only defensive snaps too. And
maybe Woody Johnson was thinking of something there.
He played the whole entire season, but he only played 50% of the snaps. So
unless he's still playing safety,
I'm sure Green Bay's not stupid. I'm sure it's offensive snaps, but
you never know.
You never know. You never know. And what they did was I think it was $58 million Aaron Rodgers was due this year, but the Jets were able to convert a lot of that to a signing bonus. So it's only a $15 million cap hit this year. It's like a running back cap hit, you know.
They paid him in crypto, so
they paid him in crypto, so it's fine. Right? So
I mean, my take on this is that, and I understand Pete's trepidation in it all due to his age and everything else, but I mean, this is a no-brainer. Like I don't think the Jets gave up. People are saying, "Oh, the Jets, mortgage." What?
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
This is great for the Jets.
Okay.
And I think Green Bay got something to get rid of Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're getting one potential first round draft pick and a 5th round pick, and they 2 spots in this year's 1st round. I think this was a no-brainer. I think the Jets came out on the better side of this deal. Now I understand. I don't think Rodgers is going to get hurt. I think he's going to not only play this whole season with the Jets, but I think he's going to come back next year as well. Mm-hmm. So
I agree.
I think this is a win for the Jets, and it's exciting. It's the most exciting. I mean, this is as exciting as when Tampa Bay got Brady. It's as exciting as when Denver got Peyton Manning. That's where I rank this. And look, Rodgers is going to a team that is going to be one of the best defensive teams in football. Sound familiar? Where he's got a lot of new talent that, let's face it, he kind of handpicked. Sound familiar? On a team that's young, but has also brought in a lot more veteran leadership. And he's got his offensive coordinator that he so admires. This is I'm not even a Jets fan, but I'm excited. I'm more excited about the Jets season coming up than I am about the Giants season.
I kind of tend to agree.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
This is exciting. This could be great.
He had his press conference today, and he said as he walked in, first he said, He wants to win here. He's hungry. He knows he can. He knows he can win here. He's very excited to work with this team because it's a solid team. Yada yada yada, all of that. And then he said when he walked in, he saw that Super Bowl III trophy sitting there, looking a little lonely.
Yeah, he had good writers for that one.
That's what he said. So I'll tell you one thing though. As soon as he was signed, right now, as it stands, Vegas odds for winning the Super Bowl, the Jets are 6th to win the Super Bowl right now. They were, far down. But beyond that, to win the Super Bowl, not at the bottom by any means, but they were much further down. But they're 6th. Yeah, Vegas right now has Kansas City is 1st, Buffalo is 2nd, Cincinnati 3rd, Philly 4th, San Francisco 5th, Jets 6th. That's good company right there. If you're talking, I mean those are your no-brainer teams for 1 through 5, and the Jets are 6th.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to make the prediction that the Jets beat Buffalo for the AFC East this year.
Fair enough. I think you can pretty much between Jets and Buffalo. I mean, I think it's gonna come down to late in the season, but I think you may be right. I think the Jets certainly head to head and certainly in the division with that defense and with the fact that look at what they did last year. And granted, they petered out at the end of the season, but look what they did last year with nobody at quarterback. Okay, with 3 literally, no offense to Joe Flacco, but he's 137 years old.
Name a team who's added more talent
right
in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. And with Aaron Rodgers sticking around, I'll tell you right now, if the Jets somehow win the Super Bowl this year, Aaron Rodgers is retiring. Wouldn't you? Right? Go out on top, right? But yeah, they have a 2-year window to win it, and I think they can. I'm like I said, I'm not a Jets fan, but I don't hate the Jets. I like all local teams, but I'm a little excited for them. I'm excited to see what this season's going to bring with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So
I would agree with you, but nobody ever does retire on top. Even John Elway tempted fate by coming back, and he was able to go out on top, but he took a big risk.
Could you imagine if the same thing happens with Aaron Rodgers? Could you imagine if they win the Super Bowl this year and he comes back and they win it again? The Jets go back to back.
Okay. Stop.
Now, having said all that, it's time for Pete's weekly Jets reality check.
Okay. First of all, I agree with you. I've heard a lot of people panning this deal and slamming the Jets. I don't think it's that bad. I wasn't a fan of going for Rodgers, but that was before everybody else disappeared. That is to say, the other quarterbacks got signed. So okay, they brought in Lazard and they made the moves, and they obviously and then they got it. And I don't think the deal is that bad. Beyond that, you guys are so cute. Your optimism is marvelously refreshing.
Well, we're not Jets fans, so we can be
exactly.
But we're hold
on.
We're Knicks fans, so it's almost the same.
Well, we're Knicks fans.
Listen,
I'm a Mets fan.
I was high on the Knicks. We'll talk about that maybe in a second. But listen, I am excited because the potential is there.
Right.
It's just a question of how does it get screwed up.
Right.
That's all it is. And, I hope I'm wrong. Just like every year, I hope I'm wrong. But so far, I have not been.
Let me ask you this question.
And it's not because I'm a genius. It's just because I'm a Jet fan.
I have a lot of things. I have a lot of issues with Aaron Rodgers in how he conducts himself. But I don't have any question marks about he's arguably one of the top 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Top 15 without a doubt. Some would say, or top 5, maybe even some people put him in there. I think that he's had some struggles in the postseason. But having said all of that, with his resume, with other quarterbacks that are in that echelon, when they've left Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, when they, Tom Brady, when they have all left their team that they have been with for many, many years at advanced ages and went to other teams, they didn't all win the Super Bowl. but they all had really good seasons and put their team in a much better position than they had been. And I think at the end of the day, most of those teams would say it was worthwhile to take that risk. Even Favre with the Jets, it was exciting. And it was a much better scenario than what they had been previously. And I think Favre was at a much more depleted point in his career than Rodgers.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And again, given how the deal shook out, it's not like they got raked over the coals. Yeah, this is not a terrible deal for Aaron Rodgers.
And he was able to convince, by him, even just the potential of him going to the Jets, other players, other good players, Pro Bowl players, were able to be signed by the Jets in the offseason. That, to me, even if something does, knock on wood, happen, that's still a benefit for the Jets.
Yeah. Of course, I do find it very interesting that Big Pharma conspiracy anti-vaxxer Aaron Rodgers is going to be getting his check signed by Johnson & Johnson.
Woody Johnson.
Look,
so
that's
hey, look, it's obviously not an issue for him.
Yeah.
When we say somebody's smart, we're talking in the context of the rest of athletes.
Right.
We're putting him in a group that has Kyrie Irving one slot over. It's not like we're saying, he's smart compared to, a Nobel physicist.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Look, I think the deal is good. I think the people that are saying they mortgage the future. Okay, if you're a Jet fan and you're saying that,
explain that to me.
If you're a Jet fan and you're saying they mortgage their future by doing this, you're an idiot. Okay.
Yeah.
What future have the Jets had in the last 54 years? Okay.
One potential first round pick, and who did you lose?
Right. One potential first round pick, and if he doesn't play well this year or he's hurt or whatever, it's only a second rounder. You still have your first rounder next year. And if he does play well, you're doing well. So I mean, wouldn't you want if somebody just came to you and said, "Hey, you can have Aaron Rodgers for a first rounder," and you said no, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're a complete idiot.
We're so used to those Jets first round picks being top 10,
right?
That hopefully, if he plays the majority of the time and he does what he's going to do,
it's a bottom 10.
It's going to be a 25, 26, 27, 28 pick.
Right? Exactly. Or worse. I mean, hey, Jets fans, there's an outside shot. Maybe it's not even that far outside. There's a possibility here that your number one pick next year that you give to Green Bay could be pick number 32. Could be pick number 31 and you lose the Super Bowl. But it could be. It's not a guarantee that it's not. There's a possibility, and there's a hell of a lot better possibility that that's the case than there was a couple months ago. Right or wrong?
And look, you still got 3 years left on Zach Wilson's rookie contract.
Zach Wilson. By the way, Zach Wilson did meet with Aaron Rodgers today. He gave him some of his vitamins. Aaron Rodgers gave Aaron Rodgers gave Zach some of his vitamins, and this is the current picture. So there you go. All right, there you go.
He also gave him the name of women he used to date 20 years ago, so he could.
Well, he asked him for his mother's phone number, but Aaron Rodgers said no.
Yeah,
so, exactly. But in any event, I think this is good for the Jets. I think this is good for the AFC East and football in general. I do. I think it is. And I just want to say that this is going to be the first time. Think about this. This is going to be the first time in 31 years that the Green Bay Packers are going into the season without somebody named Favre or Rodgers. 31 years. They've had 31 seasons of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. How wild is that?
What do they have to show for it?
2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. I guess that's not bad.
2 Super Bowls, and they were in 3. And
that second one, they should have won.
2 Super Bowls, and they were in 3. And and they lost to one the one they lost was the first one for Elway. So,
No, the better answer to what do they have for that is that they've been relevant for 31 years.
They've been relevant for 31 years. They've been relevant. I mean,
how many other teams can say that?
take yourself back to the late 70s and 80s. There was only a couple of years that the Packers were relevant. Other than that, they were low. They were
Favre
third
didn't
and
start
fourth
playing until the 80s.
No, 90s.
90s,
Favre's first
90s.
year. Favre's first year in Favre's first year in
93.
Green Bay was 91. No, 92. His first year, he got drafted in 91. He got drafted by Atlanta. He got drafted by the Falcons. And spent that year on the bench, and then they traded him to Green Bay. So 92 was Favre's first year in Green Bay. So it was 92 through 2002, 31 seasons. But anyway, yeah. It's two Hall of Fame quarterbacks over 31 years and 31 years of relevancy because of that fact. And that's done now. So unless Mr. Love can keep that going, things are taking a bit of a turn in Wisconsin. So, and I'm sure Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota fans are all thrilled about that. So, anyway, cool. All right. Anything else on football there? What do you guys
God,
think?
I hope not.
Yeah, I think
so.
we talked about it. The only other thing was Saquon Barkley's holding out. He didn't sign his tender, but
Yeah,
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will at some point, because I don't think there's going to be any other team that's going to take him and give him more than the Giants are giving him on the tag. So, but that remains to be seen. We'll keep an eye on that. All right, baseball. Let's throw that good old graphic up there for a second. I have one thing that I want to bring up about baseball. You guys have at it if you have anything. The only thing I wanted to bring up is I want your opinion on this whole Scherzer suspension. He was told to change his glove. He was told to wash his hands. He did everything in front of an MLB official. All he had on his hand was rosin. And then the MLB official watched him put it on his hands. And then Phil Cuzzi threw him out of the game. And then he wound up with the 10-game suspension because of it. I think it's absolute horseshit. It was too sticky. All right, well, rosin's legal. There's no measure of how much rosin you can use. Rosin's legal. It doesn't say a small amount of rosin is legal. Up to 5, 2 size amounts. It's 5 ounces, whatever.
Was the contention that he was thrown out because the rosin was too sticky, or because they thought there was something else there? It couldn't have just been rosin because it was too sticky.
Well, that's why there's something wrong here. Okay, and the only umpire that's done this more than once.
Yeah, that's what's
Phil
wrong.
Cuzzi.
Is Cuzzi.
It's Cuzzi, right?
Yeah.
Have him explain himself.
It's the Phil Cuzzi show. When Phil Cuzzi is the umpire of a game, it's the Phil Cuzzi show. The players are there just as support cast for Phil Cuzzi. The fans are in the stands to watch Phil Cuzzi, not the baseball game. Yeah. It's complete horseshit. I get why he kept the suspension, just kept his mouth shut, because odds are, because it's written the way it's written and the rules written the way it's written, he wasn't going to avoid the suspension. And if he took the suspension now, he would technically only miss one game. Maybe be pushed back 1 or 2 starts, but he'd only miss one game instead of actually missing 2 full starts. So they said, screw it, do it, get it over with, done. But it's absolute horseshit. There's got to be some other form of regulation, because I'll be honest with you. As a batter, if I'm standing at the plate and the pitcher's on the mound throwing a ball at me at over 90 miles an hour, I really want him to have control over it. Call me silly.
Well, you know why it's because of the way the ball dips and spins with the shit on it. So it's not about too much control. It's about too much control over certain pitches.
Well, that's just it, because they can look at that though, because his spin rate was not different. His spin rate did not change. It was just rosin.
What's the solution?
It wasn't anything else.
They need to.
They can involve technology. They can see what his spin rate is. If it was too sticky, but his spin rate was the same.
There needs to be clearer rules, and if they need to test substances, then they need to find a way of doing that.
I'm going to throw this comment from Dave Scardino up there, because I did not know this, actually. Phil Cuzzi is from Nutley, New Jersey. Yeah. And he said, shame on him. Yeah, shame on him.
So is Martha Stewart.
Martha
Nothing
Stewart
good ever never came out of Nutley, that's for sure.
Don't tell Jess that.
You know who else is from Nutley? Karen.
Well, there's
O
an exception.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Look, best case scenario, because he had a hair up his ass about something else, and he decided to take it out on Scherzer. Worst case scenario, there was some sort of beef or perceived slight or something, and he decided to go after Scherzer because he felt slighted. Maybe something happened in the past. I don't know. Either way, I think there's been 3 or 4 of these incidents, and Cuzzy's been at the heart of all of them. He's been the only guy who's doing this.
Yep.
And Major League Baseball needs to, I don't know, sit him down, give him a 10-game suspension maybe, and say, knock this shit off.
Yep. Yeah. Something has to change because it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. All right. If we talked about this, 6 days ago, I would have probably had a little bit more aggravation to vent, but I'm good with that.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement. Phil Cuzzy's an asshole. So there you go. That's our stance. Sorry, Mr. Cuzzy. All right. Anyway, cool. Anything else?
Only other baseball thing is, the Oakland A's, who we have praised in the past for finding a way to be relevant without any payroll, and obviously not happening this year. Well, now apparently they're moving to Vegas, so everyone is leaving Oakland, right? Golden State left Oakland, and the Raiders left Oakland. They're going to Vegas, and now the A's are going to Vegas.
At least Golden State just moved over the bridge. Everybody else,
right?
Everybody else
still,
went to Vegas.
Still, it's Oakland and San Francisco are not the same place, just with a bridge between them. They're two very different.
Oh yeah, there's more than just a bridge and some water between the two places. That's right.
So here's the thing, though: a $1.5 billion stadium in Vegas, a retractable roof, 30,000 seats. Which I guess
seems a little small.
Seems a little small.
A little small, yeah.
Here's the thing, though:
there's nobody in Vegas in the summer.
Well, I guess the stadium can look more full with 30,000 people in it with only 30,000 seats than with 20,000 people in it with 50,000 seats. So.
Yeah, I guess. Will be open by 2027.
Okay.
So that means for the next 3 years, let's say.
3 years beyond this year, yeah.
The A's are going to be
horrible.
A lame duck.
Yeah.
And if you think they're bad now, holy shit, what's going to happen over the next 3 years?
Okay.
Well, it's sad. And the problem with it all is that the cost of going to any professional sporting event is out of the reach of any place where the population is predominantly blue collar. And that's what Oakland is. So, there's been some gentrification of Oakland over the years, but what made Oakland so great, whether it's the Raiders or the A's or to a lesser extent, I think even the Warriors over the years, is that they kind of played in hard scrabble venues, but they had great fans who always supported them. And I think they still do. I just think that it's out of the reach for a lot of people to do that. So they have to go to
and even if it's not
right.
And even if, as you say, just not to interject here or to interject, even if it's not, they don't want to spend the money because the product on the field sucks. But go ahead, continue.
I don't really think they care about that because, yes, the A's are having a down year. And yes, it's probably a little bit harder. And, people who manage teams, GMs, all that changes. And your ability to find those value players, the sort of Billy Ball equation, has changed. A lot of those people are still not in the A's organization. So recent success maybe has been more of an anomaly than anything else. But there's a lot of teams that have that. There's a lot of teams that go from, who have many, many years of down years. There's one really close to where I'm sitting right now. But the difference is that people go to the game because it's something to do and you can get relatively inexpensive tickets. And the crowd in downtown Denver is very different than Oakland. And there's a lot of people here who have moved from Chicago and Kansas City and New York and LA, and they go to see all of the visiting teams play. There's not as much of that going on in Oakland. There will be that in Vegas. So you're not just getting people to go see the A's or whatever they're going to be called played, you're getting people who are visiting from all over the place who are either visiting Vegas or coming through Vegas. So they're not really looking at, hey, are the A's playing? They're looking at who are the A's playing.
Yeah,
so
they've been in...
it's just a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
Agreed. I think that's a good way to look at it. And I'm sure they're going to still be called the Athletics. Oakland's their third city as the Athletics, so I'm sure they're not changing that anytime soon.
On average, less than 10,000 fans last year
per game, or for the whole year.
Per game, yeah.
Per game, all right. Fair enough. Yeah. So that's something to keep an eye on. So as that materializes, we'll keep checking in on that. But it looks like it's a done deal, right? They bought the property, right?
Yeah.
So
it's going. It's
happening. Yeah.
It's happening, people.
It is happening. So,
all
right.
If they're really going to suck, then they should just bring back Reggie and Raleigh Fingers on a 1-year contract.
Why not?
See if Catfish Hunter can go a few innings.
Yeah, you never know.
Who is the McGuire and who is the other roided out home run hitter?
Canseco.
Jose Canseco.
Nash Brothers.
They could have like a Hall of Fame lineup
reunion
for one game.
One game.
Get some seniors in there spending their food money.
That's right. That's right.
That's it.
The retro athletics.
There you go.
That's right.
So, all right. So do a quick look at some of the basketball playoffs.
You mean the most exciting thing that's going on in sports right now?
Most exciting thing that's going on in sports right now. We'll just do
that.
It's there's
an hour
right
into the show.
Little over 3 minutes left in the game, and the Knicks are up by 12 over the Cavs, which means they. It looks like they're going to win a playoff series.
Do not jinx it.
Okay, now they're up by 14. How's that? It's 186 right now.
Yeah.
I told you Knicks are going to win this series.
There you go. I said they were going to win too. Harry's the only one that said no.
Well, I say no so that,
So that you can be pleasantly surprised if they win and right if they lose. There you go. Right.
Well,
I think the more interesting. Listen, this is a great story, and I'm actually kind of happy for the Knicks.
I think
Miami and Milwaukee.
Miami and Milwaukee. I think that's a more interesting story.
That's the story right now. Golden State and Sacramento. That one's probably.
Well, but the Lakers and the Grizzlies too.
Well, they're tied up right now in the game that the Lakers can close it out today. So let's talk about Miami and the Bucks for a minute. I mean, obviously a couple games there with Giannis hurt. Can Jimmy Butler continue to turn back the clock and be the Jimmy Butler of 10 years ago? 8 years ago? I mean,
looking like he's got.
If he could do it for one more game, then
he's averaging 36.5 points a game right now.
Who would have thought a team that lost the first play-in game and then won to get into the 8th spot could potentially knock out the Bucks? And I think it's just the Bucks defense has gone south. They were a top 4 or top 5 defensive team.
Kind of a no-show.
The first half of the year, and then it went south towards the second half, and it's starting to rear its head in this series. I mean, it's not as if Giannis didn't have points. It's not as if some of the other guys didn't play their games. I think Drew Holiday is really the X factor for them. It's not. He's not having. It seems like since Middleton's been back, Holiday has not been able to have the numbers that he's had, and they really do need those big three to have consistent games because they're deep. They're probably deeper than they've been in years past, but maybe not in the right way.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Yeah, I mean, there's just a few things in the East. I mean, right now, it looks as if the Knicks, I don't want to jinx anything. I mean, they're a couple minutes away from winning the series, right? But looks as if they're going to win it. And, it looks as though Miami, even if they lose tonight, they still have a 3-1 lead right now. So they only have to win 1 of 3 games. So unless Milwaukee makes an incredible run, which isn't at all impossible, but
yeah, Milwaukee would have to win 1 in Miami if they win tonight in Milwaukee. So
right. So, and then whatchamacallit? But then you look at the Boston Atlanta series. Now, granted, Boston's up 3-2. but if the Hawks come back and win it, and I don't think they're gonna, I think Boston's gonna win it, but just being hypothetical here, you got, the teams left are 3, 5, 7, and 8 in the East.
Yeah.
So,
well, you could have a 2 gone in the West. The West is going into it was a little bit upside down, and you could have the 2 best. Now you have arguably the 2 best teams in the West having to play each other in the second round.
They're going to beat each
which
other,
opens the door. I mean, if Golden State, am I wrong in this? No, if Golden State can get past Sacramento, then they host the Lakers.
They host
in the second round. So, fucking Warriors. They just get the breaks, and it's hard to close. It's hard to close out a series in the NBA in any sport. We're seeing it. We're seeing that same parity in the NHL too, where there's there's not as many. I mean, other than the Sixers, there's no series where there's been any sweeps.
No,
and I think the Sixers probably had the most lopsided.
The Sixers swept. That's it. Yeah. So
yeah, and the Nuggets, the Nuggets were close with Minnesota. Minnesota 1-1. There was a game last night that could have went either way, but they were able to close it out. It's hard. It's hard to close it out, and I think it's especially. And I think you're starting to see, Miami and Milwaukee are 2 veteran teams going at it.
Yeah.
And
so if you're the Knicks, who do you want to see?
Well, you don't have a choice.
You see more. No, who do you want to see more?
Miami or Milwaukee?
Yeah. You want Miami.
Miami.
Yeah.
You still want Miami.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure Milwaukee can't come back from this.
If Milwaukee comes back from this, they'll be riding so high they're going to breeze right over the Knicks. So I want to play Miami. I want Miami to put it all out there to win this series, and then
and then be spent.
I think the Knicks match up better against Miami.
They do.
Miami's a good team though, and they're well coached. Not that the Bucks aren't well coached, but that's part of the problem is that Miami is probably better than in play-in 8 seed, and I think. But the East, we all thought the East was going to be a 3-way race to the finals, and look, I don't think Atlanta's going to beat Boston, but Boston has surely proven that they're susceptible,
right? And
the Bucks certainly have proven.
The Hawks had to work really hard to get that win last night.
Well, you got to work really hard for any win, and if you're a really good team, you don't let teams get that close.
Right. I don't think they can do that 2 more times. But
this has been Boston's problem. They seem to make boneheaded plays in the playoffs that give teams a chance to win. And there's one thing that sticks in the back of my head with Boston is that I think there's a little bit of doubt there that they can do it. I think they have that doubt in the front of their mind all the time. And Atlanta's playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. Atlanta was also playing without their second best player.
Yeah.
So
that's true too. Yeah.
And this Heat team, it's kind of like a couple of years ago, right? They're well coached. They play together. Jimmy Butler's their star, but he's not a superstar, although he became one a few years ago, right? I think they did they go to the conference semis or whatever? And they just seem to put it together and play really good team basketball. So we'll see if they can do that for one more game against the Bucks.
Yeah, we'll see. Should be interesting. Again, that game starts in about 9 minutes. So
so let's go Knicks. Let's go Nuggets. It's funny. I turned on the national news, last night and this morning. Just no talk of the Nuggets at all. Just not even mentioned. It's and look, I think the Nuggets unfortunately have. I think they're getting the hardest matchup that they could get out of, I think, any team in the NBA in the second round of the playoffs. And I don't think anybody in their right mind has the Nuggets favored over the Suns, but this might be the Western Conference Finals in the second round.
Yeah.
I think these are the 2 best teams in the West.
Well, right. Look at either one of those teams against whoever's coming out of the rest, the bottom part of that bracket. I mean, all right, against is Sacramento even going to get there? Maybe.
No, maybe not. And I think the Nuggets have matched up well if Memphis does. The Lakers scare me a little bit because some of their role players are playing really well, and LeBron seems to be on a mission to some degree. I also think that they're playing.
If they're healthy, they're good. Don't sleep on them.
Well, and I think Memphis just has some chemistry issues. I think there's just something sitting uncomfortably with that team right now.
They're young and what is the phrase about
young,
new
guys
in the army? Yeah, young, dumb, and full of something.
Full of doubt. Full of
rum.
I think it's Mike Wilbon who says they major in stupid.
Yeah. He says that about the Bulls a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've talked about this before. They are really young. They don't have, much of a veteran presence to kind of say, hey, calm down, and I've been through this before. So
it'll be interesting. I am nervous about my Nuggets in the second. I'll be honest. I am nervous, but look, if they could beat the Suns, then it's almost worth. It's almost as good. It's the second best thing to winning a championship. Is to beat this Build-A-Bear team. To beat this fucking team.
It's really not fair that they have to play in the second round.
No.
Devin Booker's red hot.
Devin Booker's just on fire.
Last night.
He's on fire.
The
difference between Booker and Murray is that Murray's hot and cold. Booker's just on fire.
Yeah.
He might be the best player in the NBA right now.
I think we talking about that last year too. He just gets hot and stays hot. And then
He's
of course,
consistent player, smart.
And their number 2 is Kevin Durant.
Right.
Oh yeah. And
their number 1 is Kevin Durant. And there's a reason why Booker has gotten better since Durant is there. Because you have a choice.
Draws a lot of attention.
You can either run at Booker and force him off the ball, and then he passes it to the most efficient scorer in the history of the NBA. Mm-hmm. So there's only so much you can do.
Right, but even before Kevin Durant got there, Devin Booker was lighting it up. This is still his team. And Kevin Durant's the perfect guy to play that role because he's happy to defer. Booker put up 47. Durant, he only had 31.
Right.
It's just...
It's like when Magic and Kareem had James Worthy or Bob McAdoo. Or, it's like, Byron Scott quietly at 27.
Right.
Oh, and hopefully he'll stay healthy, but then you got CP3, who just has to do even less
only
now
had
as far as
17 and 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And by the way, what's his name is playing his best playoff basketball at center. So,
this is
they're a tough matchup for the Nuggets.
Exactly.
This is like us, this is like the Warriors when KD was there.
Yep.
This is a real super team.
Yep. We'll see. We shall see. So it's going to be fun, though. It's playoff season in Denver. That's for sure. We got the Avs and the Nuggets both going at it right now. So it's fun.
That's right.
You got 48 seconds left in the game.
And the Knicks are down by 1.
The Knicks. And the Knicks are up by 11. So
there you go. Well, I don't even think the Knicks can fuck this up, but just make sure John Starks is nowhere to be found.
But John Starks is there. He's sitting courtside.
I know. The reason why the Knicks have been playing so well is because Sprewell's been playing with the second unit. Their defensive rating just went up 60 points. Yeah.
There you go. So, anyway.
Look, you could argue the Knicks are the same way. I mean, they're doing this with kind of a little bit of a disgruntled, somewhat shell-shocked Julius Randle, who I thought's had a great year and hopefully will bounce back in the next round. I don't know what he had tonight, but their players are stepping up. They're finally coming. RJ Barrett finally woke up. And Brunson's been great. Look, I doubted the Brunson trade, and I was wrong. He's been great. So
Yeah.
Julius Randle has 8 points tonight.
Yeah. So I mean, who would have, if you would have said that in 2 of the 5 or whatever 6 games in the Knicks series, Julius
I'm
Randle
sorry,
had
I
8
take
and
that back.
7 points.
He's got 13 points. I didn't add in the free throws.
But still, I mean, it's he doesn't have to carry the load like he does in the past, and his game doesn't translate to the playoffs as well as somebody else because he's not as great at creating his own shot. He's not as athletic getting to the rim, and Brunson is, and so and that's opened it up for Barrett as well, who's shooting well.
Right.
And the Knicks, look, Josh Hart has other. I mean,
yeah,
Josh Hart was a great pickup.
Great pickup.
Yeah. When the Knicks signed Cam Reddish, I'm like, nothing good can ever come out of this. They got Josh Hart.
Look at how they're playing now. And could you imagine if they actually do somehow get Cuban to trade him Doncic next year?
All right, we don't want Doncic.
Yeah.
We don't want Doncic. He's the wrong type of player for the Knicks. I mean, the best player for the Knicks
is official. The Knicks one.
To have added was the guy who they were playing against in this series. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, say what you will.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have Jalen Brunson if they had Donovan.
Well, they
Mitchell.
would have. They would have had both. If they didn't meddle and didn't piss off Danny Ainge, they would have had both. That would have been their backcourt.
Yep.
It would have been interesting. Very, very interesting. That would have been the way to go.
They would have immediately become a top 3 contender in the East. Mm-hmm. Or 4. But, it's interesting. I think right now the Sixers are the favorite to win the East. But the Knicks have certainly moved up.
They certainly looked like it the way they were playing. But then again, and Pete,
they played the Nets.
They were playing the Nets.
And they played a Nets team that overachieved and really didn't have a solid chemistry going into the playoffs. Right. And I do think Harden and Embiid are coming into their own. There is a rumor, though, that Embiid is hurt again. So we shall see.
We shall see.
Yeah.
All right. Couple of brief, super brief hockey.
Hockey's been great. Hockey has been great. I spend way too much time watching hockey and basketball these last couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Boston's leading their series 3-1 with Florida, with the Panthers. Maple Leafs are leading their series 3-1 with the Lightning.
Big win last night was it last night? Yeah, last night with Toronto.
Last night, Toronto, yeah. Islanders are down to the Hurricane 3-2.
Big win for the Islanders, though, coming back.
Big win, yeah. And Rangers, you know what? I mean, they skated. They looked like they were going to sweep the Devils the way they played the first 2 games in Newark. Then they came back to MSG and played not to lose. They just did not look like the same team.
I think they're evenly matched. I think these 2 teams are really evenly matched.
The Devils made some adjustments on their defense and sort of they were able to find ways to kind of slow the Rangers down a little bit.
And everybody plays better when they're not in Newark. So.
Well, no, but the Rangers played better in Newark.
Well, that's what I mean. There is no home court advantage. It's like, why are we playing in this mystery arena in a town where there's not one hockey fan?
There you go. And then out west, Avalanche and the Kraken are tied.
Seattle's given the Avalanche a run for their money, and
a little bit.
I'll tell you what, Edmonton looks like a team of destiny.
Mm-hmm. The Minnesota Wild is down 3-2 against their former selves, the Dallas Stars.
Right.
And that's kind of weird, right? The team that used to play where you play is beating you 3-2. Yeah.
None of the people playing remotely remember any of that.
Well, the North Stars didn't leave that long ago.
Oh, they left way before these guys were born.
Oh, well, maybe.
Yes.
I guess
Some
of them.
Yeah.
Well, fans, these guys. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the players
don't know. All right. The Golden Knights are up 3-1 against the Jets. The Jets, and Edmonton leads the Kings 3-2. So it's interesting. Hockey's very very cool this year. It's there's not really blowouts. Everybody's playing good hockey. Obviously, I think a lot of parity. A lot of parity.
Well, think about this. In a couple years, we're going to have 3 out of the 4 major sports in Vegas.
That's very true. That's very true. And if somehow Vegas draws the Warriors, then they're covered.
They're not going to draw the Warriors, but I could see an expansion team. There's talk about bringing an NBA team back to Seattle. I think if they did that, the other city that would probably be high on the list would be Vegas.
Yeah, because there's 30 teams now. It's 15 and 15, right? So it'd be 32, it'd be 16. They could do that. So they could do. So they'd have to move somebody that's in the west to the east. Because obviously Seattle and Vegas would both be in the west. Yeah,
well, I mean, yeah. That makes in the NBA that still holds true. In other,
well, I mean, you could always
in other sports we used to. Yeah, the Arizona Cardinals were in the
NFC East. Absolutely, yeah. And then they
Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Yeah. Well, they could. I mean, it's very easy. I mean, they could just take the Memphis Grizzlies and put them in the put them in the East. Call it a day. But all right. We got a comment here. Hold on. Dave Scardino said Knicks with 9 exclamation points. Yes, they won. Congrats to the Knicks. Moving on to the next round.
They did win.
History in the making.
History in the making.
The most unlikable coach in the NBA is taking his team on to the next round. Did you hear that? They did a poll.
Thibodeau is the most.
Thibodeau is the least likely anybody wants to play for by 54%.
Really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Very nice. Very nice.
Interesting.
Bunch of pansies.
Yeah, really. What are you gonna do? Yeah. All right.
And Kawhi Leonard, it's been great, but just fucking retire.
Yeah.
And
did you see what Stephen A. said about him the other day?
What? That he's
the worst superstar in the history of the NBA.
Well, that's not true. Kyrie Irving has him by so much. And Kevin Durant's way less likely, and Draymond Green is way worse. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is. If Kawhi Leonard could continue to be what Kawhi Leonard was a couple days ago, he is arguably the best two-way player in the NBA when he's healthy. The problem is that I don't think he's ever going to be healthy again. I think that he has a lot of this load management that everybody is like, why is he doing that? I think it's literally because his body is so worn down, even with the rehab from those other injuries, that I think even when he did play, he's playing hurt. And having watched him, if you watch old clips of Kawhi and new clips of Kawhi, there's a labored movement to what he does. Yeah. And even with the broken down body, he could guard Kevin Durant like no one else and score 38 points against the Suns. So it's unfortunate and it's sad. But I just don't think this experiment with him and Paul George is ever going to.
I don't think it's going to pan out. No.
I think it was Mike Greenberg who compared him to Haley's Comet. every now and then. You get to see this amazing, incredible thing, and then it just disappears for a long stretch of time.
Yeah, that's a more positive way. The herpes is more like every now and then it's an explosive outburst, and then it disappears for a long time.
Mr. Leonard, can we ask you, would you rather be compared to Haley's Comet or herpes?
He wouldn't answer. I love Kawhi. I'm a huge fan of his, but it's just, he's just one of those guys. I really honestly think that I used to think, they're kind of babying him and he's going to be fine. No, I really think his body is fucked, and that this is just like he can't play all those games. There's no way he can, and I think he's been playing through other injuries. I don't think that he's not tough. I think that he's too tough, and I think that he's unwilling to say, you know what, I'm done.
If he was less tough, his body would be in better shape than it is.
Maybe,
maybe you might have a point.
He's such a great talent. He might be the best defensive player to ever play the game, and most of the time when you talk about those kind of guys. They're not somebody who's going to drop 38 against Kevin Durant. Agreed. So it's unfortunate, but I do think it's just not going to. And look, we're talking about him, and Meanwhile, poor Paul George didn't play one game in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. Again.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else?
Quick, are they for real?
Yeah, I think we should do that. That's the point, huh?
Quick little baseball.
Let's do that.
Are they for real?
What is real?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Pretty sure none of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real. Yeah.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real?
Are they for real?
What is real?
All right, baseball edition, real quick. Yes or no? Surprisingly good last year. Continuing this year, the Baltimore Orioles.
They are definitely for real. In fact,
They're
the entire American League East is for real.
For real.
And you know what? They're going to beat up on each other to the point where they're all just, with the exception of maybe Toronto and Tampa Bay, are all just a little bit above 500. Yeah, the Orioles are for real.
Yeah.
100% agree. They're totally for real.
All right, let's move to the AL West. Texas.
Absolutely.
All right, have they finally put it together? Right, we've been watching them build, right? They made some offensive
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
So are they there now? Are they going to unseat Houston?
I think they're going to give Houston a run for their money. I think they're 1 or 2 starters maybe away from that. But they've made some really, really good moves these past 2 years, and they're definitely for real. And if there is a year that they could overtake Houston, it's this year, because Houston's dealing with some injuries and some unfortunate things. I mean, Altuve was a casualty of the World Baseball Classic. So yeah, I mean, if anybody is going to, it's going to be Texas.
I will say, yes, they're for real. You know what? And so you said, yeah, no, they're real and they're spectacular. Yeah, no, they're for real. And I think they actually will give Houston a run for their money. I'm just and while I really don't, care about the whole, DeGrom thing with Texas. To your point, Harry, you said they're 1 or 2 starters. Let's say 3, because I mean, DeGrom's on the IL already, so, and it's not even May. So
yeah, but
they're getting lent out. They're getting lent out of starters. They're getting decent bullpen outings. So I mean, yeah, they're for real. They're for real. Will they unseat Houston? I don't know, but I agree. They'll 100%.
They're following Houston's playbook by developing young players and giving them enough time to really excel. Yeah. And they made they've invested in some really heavy, free agent acquisitions, and that's not an easy thing to do, as we know. So I think they're for real.
Yeah, I think they are too. It's interesting to see if the AL East is going to beat each other into mediocrity all season long, or if a team like Texas might get edged out even despite that. Like, there might just be 3 better teams in the AL East. We talked
for the wild card. Yeah,
the wild card. Yeah,
yeah. And I think
if they don't beat Houston, Texas might not end up going.
Exactly. Yeah, they might need. You might be right. They might need to win the division to get in. Yeah. I think what helps teams like Toronto, the Yankees, Tampa Bay, and to some extent the Orioles is that they play the AL Central, they play the West. There's a lot of cross divisional interleague play. That's the word I was looking for. So the percentage of games has kind of gone down, but you're right. There's been a lot of split series or series that there's not a lot of people just blowing each other out in these American League East inter-series matchups.
Yeah, there's like what is the matchup in the AL East that this team definitely should win? You know what I mean? 8 out of those 10 games. There really isn't one.
No, there isn't. I think right now Tampa Bay is the best team and they're playing the best ball. But when I was watching Toronto and the Yankees, my takeaway was that these teams are so close that if they play 2 7-game series back to back, they could be 4-3, one team, one series, and 4-3, another team the next series. They're that. I think they're that evenly matched.
All right, let's move to the National League and talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Can they continue? Have they found something? Can they just we got nothing to lose. Let's just keep playing.
Yeah.
Are they? They're for real?
I believe they're for real. Yes, as the resident host that goes to Pittsburgh Pirates games. You
better hope prices don't go up there, buddy.
Yeah, I know, right? I think they're for real. I think they made some moves. And you can see that they were doing this last year too. They were plugging some minor leaguers in, and they were moving some things around, and they were planning for the future. Yeah, I think they are for real. I think they're going to continue it. I do.
They are the new Oakland A's. They're for real, and they're doing it on a budget within their own system for the most part, and picking up scraps and pieces here and there. But they're for real.
Right now on CBS Sports top 10 baseball teams depth chart, they're number 10 out of 30 teams.
Yeah.
So
and I think they're for real, and I think they're in the right division for it too, right?
Oh hell yeah!
Milwaukee is a perennial. Oh, they look great, and then they fall apart or they slip down.
Right.
The Cubs, St. Louis is starting off slow, but they could go on a 18-game win streak like last year, but they're in the right division to do this. So good for them. Good for them.
The other team that I think's for real are the Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch a little bit of the
Twins are playing good ball.
Twins are playing good ball. That was all right. Last one. Arizona out in the West. Are they just riding high? They're set for a fall. Are the Dodgers finally not a shell of themselves, but vulnerable? Can San Diego ever get it together?
I think the West is a little open this year. I do.
But is Arizona good enough to capitalize on it?
I think Arizona's good enough to maybe not fully capitalize on it, but win more games than they normally have been doing. So they can be relevant in the West, but I mean, it's a matter of the Padres actually getting their shit together. It's a matter of the Dodgers getting their shit together. It's not so much can the Diamondbacks continue to play as well as they're playing. It's a matter of can the Dodgers and the Padres continue to play as shitty as they're playing.
Right, continue not to.
Well, we're talking about a game and a half. The Padres, as mediocre, and they're 12-13. They're a game and a half back of the Diamondbacks. I think that the AL West, yes, I think everything you said is right. I think the Padres are underperforming. I think they are. They've sort of presented themselves as the Texas Rangers of the National League, and they're just not living up. In fact, they've spent way more money and brought a lot more big name people in. I think the Dodgers at the end of the day, it's going to be the Dodgers and the Padres neck and neck, but the Diamondbacks will be with the Pirates. And I think maybe the Diamondbacks had a worse year last year, if my memory serves me correctly. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be the most improved team in baseball. Having said that, they're 5-5 in their last 10. They've won one. They're a -2 for the season so far in their differential. Right. So everything has to go right for them to win. They either win big or lose big. And I think there's some inconsistencies there, which I don't think at the end of the day the Dodgers will have. I think but that division's anybody's. That division is going to be might be the least amount of wins of any division in the National League this year is going to be the West.
Agreed. It's they're a product of the division. You put them in the AFC. You put them in the AL East.
Put them in the AFC West, and they're never going to beat the Chiefs.
They'll never beat the Chiefs.
No, but they'll beat the Broncos.
You put them in the AL East, and they're in last place.
Broncos.
They'll tie, right.
And they'll beat the Raiders. Exactly. Maybe even the Chargers. They might be in second place in the AFC West. You never know.
But no, seriously, put them in the AL East, and they're irrelevant. They're a product of the division. But yet, I agree. Absolutely, one of the most improved teams, definitely.
Yeah. So. And they're a team that you're not going to want to play in August. Right.
So, there you go.
Yeah,
especially if they're challenging for a wild card spot.
Right, they could be as much of a difference maker as to whether it's the Dodgers or San Diego coming out on top. Let's say,
absolutely,
as the Dodgers and San Diego themselves. So,
And look, that could
All
be
right.
another division where only the person who wins the division, surprisingly enough, gets into the playoffs. Because if Pittsburgh and Milwaukee and the American League East or the National League East, the way we think it's going to be,
those are your wild card teams. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. All
right. Thank you, gentlemen. That's it. All right. That was a good one. Oh, look at that. Perfect timing.
That was perfect.
We should start with Are They For Real? It's my favorite part of the show, only because of the song.
Not because of the content, just the
content.
The
questions are good.
Play that the whole entire show.
Content, the questions are good and the song is great. So props to Pete. That's all Pete.
Props to Pete. It's all Pete.
Two out of 3 parts of the segment are good.
Right.
If we would just stop talking.
Yes.
If I just
ask the questions and listen to the music.
And then nobody answer. Right. How about Pittsburgh? Are they for real?
Yes.
No reason. Just yes.
Give our vast listening audience, give Dave Scardino a little dance break.
That's right.
Exactly. All right.
All right. That's all I got.
All right. I think on that note, we'll wrap up the show for today. I want to thank everyone for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you could do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the NFL draft tomorrow, and of course on Friday and Saturday for the other rounds. And we will, and of course, enjoy your whole weekend too. And watch all the playoffs going on in both the NBA and the NHL. And one quick comment from Dave Scardino. He said, "What? No XFL or USFL talk?
No.
Next year, Dave.
Next year when the
NFL
NFL
they're still
goes
around.
If
they're still around.
If they're still around, there you go. But there you go. But anyway, enjoy yourselves, folks, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. Cheers.
Let's go, Devils. Let's go, Devils.
Let's go, Rangers. Let's go, Rangers.
How can you?
Let's go, Nuggets.
Because the Rangers have been a team in the New York area longer than the Devils have. So that's how. I was a fan
of the New York area.
I was a fan of the Rangers while the Devils were the Colorado Rockies.
Where were you? What state?
I was a fan of the Islanders, but
I grew up 8 minutes from Manhattan. So,
in what state?
8 minutes with no traffic, so normally half an hour. But that's besides the point.
In what state?
New Jersey. In New Jersey.
Oh,
we're close. We grew up closer to Manhattan than you did out in.
Yes,
and the land that was annexed.
Well, listen, I didn't grow up on Long Island.
That's
I grew
true.
up upstate, which was Rangers country anyway.
Well, upstate's further away than the Meadowlands.
I understand, but you had a team right there, Jersey.
No, not when we.
They've only been in Jersey for how many years now? 40, 50?
Yeah,
40
years.
41 years. 40
I was
years.
an Islanders fan because I hated the Rangers, but yeah.
I never liked hockey, and then the Devils showed up, and I said, I'll root for them.
My father was a Rangers fan. Is a Rangers fan. I am a Rangers fan.
His mother was a Rangers fan.
My uncle's grandfather was absolutely. But no, I mean, well, let me ask you a question. You're all right. All right. I live in New Jersey, right? Obviously, I'm a Mets fan. If all of a sudden there's a new baseball team, an expansion team, or another team that moves to New Jersey and actually plays in New Jersey, am I supposed to stop being a Mets fan and root for that team because I live in New Jersey? That's what we're talking about, really. You know.
I mean, I would if I was a Mets fan. But.
Yes, I think
I'm supposed to. Then.
You might win another World Series before the Mets do. You never know.
I mean, you're right. Had I jumped ship and became a Devils fan, I would have enjoyed multiple cups.
Yeah, you could have
as opposed to one.
Couple cups under your belt in the last 25 years. You know,
the Moonaki Moon Pies.
All right.
Anyway, all right.
Goodbye.
We'll see you later. Take care.
Goodbye.